Good evening and welcome to VersoFest at the Westport Library. Please welcome to the forum stage celebrated actress and author Gina Gershon in conversation with award-winning journalist Alisyn Camerota.
Wow.
Everybody's very excited that you're here. We've been looking forward to this.
This is such a cool, thanks for coming out, guys. I feel if I just realized I brought my bag on. I'm like Aretha Franklin.
Can I do something with your purse, or we'll just keep that?
No, we'll just keep it here.
It seems like there's important stuff in there. We'll just keep it right there.
I just wasn't thinking, but then as I was walking on, you know how like Aretha Franklin would always bring her purse on because she had all her money? It's true.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great to meet you. It's great to have you here in Westport.
Thank
We've all
you.
been really looking forward to it.
Thank you.
I loved your book. I loved it. I loved reading it. It's so rollicking. It's really fun. It's time travel back to, you know, a really cool era. And I think that it sets the stage for how you became the badass actress that we all know and love. But you don't call it a badass, you call it an AlphaPussy. And so, AlphaPussy, how I survived the valley and learned to love my boobs. So can you define AlphaPussy for us?
Yes, well, let me just start by saying you could be an AlphaPussy without being a badass. And you could also be a badass probably without being an AlphaPussy. AlphaPussy is more, it's more of like a state of being. It's more of like standing on your own 2 feet. I mean, I guess you'd have to just define badass, but it's just about not letting people push you around and tell you what to do and listening to your own instincts and, you know, not being a victim to someone else's ideas of who or what you should be.
It's awesome.
So if that's being a badass, you know, there's all different ways. I mean, we could start a whole big conversation of what that is, but wait, I'm gonna take my jacket off now. Okay. Is that okay? It's warm up there.
Fair. Well, I think that, do you define it also as your technique for navigating through the world of the alpha dog, basically, world of aggressive men that you encountered throughout your adolescence, your teenagehood, obviously your acting field. So was it like a technique that you used for how to stand your ground? Yeah,
I mean, it was something I think I always did. I didn't really quite put a name to it until, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, because the name actually comes from, I've always had little male kittens. I have male wildcats, you know, feral, slightly feral. And for anyone who's had, you know, male kittens, they know they're kind of wild and aggressive, and they'll scratch you, they'll scratch the furniture, they'll wreak havoc, you know, everywhere. So I kind of devised this little game where I would stare at them and they would stare at me, and I would stare at them and they'd stare at me. And if you look away, they will attack you, for sure.
Right?
They'll jump on your head, they'll, you know, bite you. And so you have to keep eye contact, keep your eye contact, and at some point they'll go, and they'll roll on their back, and therefore you've become the AlphaPussy. And so, and I soon realized, oh, this technique works on people. It has. I mean, I haven't really tried to do it on women, but on men, you know, whenever I've been in that sort of situation that, you know, even consciously or unconsciously, if you just kind of look people in the eye and just speak your truth, most of the time they'll just back away. Like they won't go, but they are, in their soul, they're doing that. I could hear it.
That's awesome. You grew up in the porn capital of the world.
That's correct.
The San Fernando Valley. And that porny vibe permeates your childhood and adolescence in different ways. So can you describe that? What was it like to grow up there?
I mean, the Valley, I mean, first of all, I grew up in a time, when your parents were like, see you home for dinner, and I'm walking to school by myself at 6, 7 years old in the lovely valley that seems nice, but it's really teeming with a lot of toxic people and predators. And, I was kind of bored, and I remember there was the local movie theater that I used to sneak into all the time. And then one day I snuck in, and it was The Devil and Miss Jones playing, which I didn't know what that was. I just thought, what's she doing with that snake, and why all these men have raincoats on? It's not raining out. Like it just was, I was like 11. I'm like, I don't get really what's going on, but I knew there was something weird happening. But that was like the environment, yeah.
That seems like a huge shock to the system, truly. To sneak into something, you think you're going to go see a movie, and to sneak into a porn movie.
Yeah.
Was that a defining moment? I mean, was that such a shock to the system?
It wasn't a shock. It kind of pissed me off because I liked Billy Jack. There was that movie, Billy Jack, that I'd like to go see it, right? And all of a sudden I'm like, what's this shit playing? Like, I didn't really want to watch. It was,
Yeah.
It was a little offensive. I was much more interested in the audience that definitely had all these different, a splattering of men with glasses and raincoats. And I really couldn't understand the raincoat thing. I just didn't get it. So, but then of course, it's not like, oh, I'm gonna go to the movies today. I'm just like, okay, now what am I gonna do? Because I wasn't that interested in going to see porn. I've never been a porn person, not even then.
Right. I'll just underscore you were 11.
Yeah.
But that whole thing, I mean, everything that you describe in here and that vibe of your childhood and your teenage years, do you think that that laid the groundwork for your kind of grittiness later?
I think when I started writing this in different ways, I never really thought about, a long time ago, I thought, oh, I should maybe write like I was a teenage Valley girl, and just because when I would see like Paul Thomas Anderson movies, I'd always say, oh my God, these are like my stories. We kind of grew up around the same time, except I had the female, version of it from my point of view. But then once I started kind of hanging my hat on the whole AlphaPussy idea, these stories started showing up, and I was kind of surprised how intense my life in the Valley was, and how many, I really kept navigating and dodging a lot of trouble, which at the time you don't realize it's so gnarly, because you're just in survival mode. It's like, like, oh, predator over there, this guy's gonna try to kill you, like, uh-oh, get out of this house. So you're in survival mode, and it's not until you start reflecting on it that I thought, oh wow, I was really like scared, and there was so much tension. And as we were talking earlier, it's like when you write about it, everything comes up, and you realize what you've been carrying, and then, of course, you can kind of almost let it go. So there's something great about it, to the point of, like, it doesn't need to seep in your consciousness anymore. But to answer your question, I think it absolutely, once I started telling those stories, I'm like, why am I thinking of all this? Because I think it was a good training ground to, like, move to New York City and to get into my business, and where you're navigating toxicity all the time, and weird people, and it kind of gave me a good radar for that.
Oh, I think so. I mean, in the book, you talk a lot about basically your spidey senses that were developed, that you, from a young age, were able to kind of assess, read a room and think like, I should get out of here now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that comes from so many different things. I had a brother who was a little bit nuts. I didn't know it at the time, but now, my mom's like, we really should have put him on meds. But that was later on. But, he's so smart and great, but, he's a big brother, right? So at times, you play this weird, let's tie up the Houdini game, and if you don't get out, I remember one time I didn't get out of the Houdini game, and he like hung me upside down from a bar and just like left me there until my mom got home. So you learn, A, not to play the who'd eating game, or B, if you're going to play, you need to know how to get out before you get hung up by a bar, right? Which is a weird thing.
I mean, there's also a parallel between you hanging from the rafters in Showgirls, which we'll get to later. So here again, the groundwork of some of that is laid early for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was struck, one of the things that I was struck by in the book is that women of a certain age, you and I, were free range, you know, I mean, notoriously. In the 70s and 80s, it was a free range, not helicopter parented.
Right.
And we were left to our own devices, for better or worse, and often got into dicey situations and had to find a way out, if we were lucky.
If we were lucky. I think I was lucky. I was clearly lucky, because I should have, there was a lot of very dubious situations that could have ended not so great. I think I was lucky because, like I said, I had a brother that I kind of went, ooh, I don't want to get in trouble over there, or, you know, and I had a father who really from an early age, not 11, but later on in 14, 15, when it was time to make big decisions about, oh, should I do this or should I work here? Or he really entrusted me. Like, he trusted me to say, listen, you know, I trust you. How do you feel about it? This is your situation. This is your body. This is your, like, if you're not comfortable with something, you just walk out. You know, he taught me the value of, like, fuck you money, as he called it. He said, make enough money so at any point you could just say, hey, fuck you, and leave. And that was, like, really good advice, you know? But he really empowered me, as the better word, to trust my instincts. So I had that, you know, and growing up in the Valley, and, you know, I definitely had a strong sense, a spidey sense. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that comes across. In the book, there's lots of dicey situations that you're in that you kind of worm your way out of, even though you're really young. At 15 years old, you go to the Playboy Mansion to a party.
I'd never been to a mansion before. And I heard there was free food and pinball.
So, I mean, this is a kind of only in LA or only on the West Coast story. You know, this is not anything that we could be as free range as we wanted in New Jersey, but we weren't going to the Playboy Mansion. And so you go with a friend to the Playboy Mansion. And what happens?
I go with a friend. Well, first of all, you have to set it up. I go with a friend who I met in junior high before I moved to go to Beverly Hills High School, which I was going, oh my God, I don't want to go there. And so someone said to me one day, like, oh, it's new girls at school, and you guys look a lot alike. And, you know, of course, being a young narcissist, I'm like, oh, we better go look at her. I'm like thinking, you know, you always want to see that. And in fact, if you squint your eyes, we were similar height and shapes and like coloring, but she was much more sophisticated than I. And anyway, she said, oh, come and live with me for a few weeks in the summer, because she was in Malibu, which I was a surfer girl then. And then one day she's like, oh my God, I went to the mansion last night. I'm like, ooh, you went to a mansion? Like, that's, and she's like, yeah, it was Hef's. And I'm like, what's a Hef? I literally didn't know. And she was like telling me, you know, very patiently, she goes, oh my God, it's incredible. They're like, you know, they have movies on Friday nights, and there's all this food that's out, and there's, you know, celebrities there, and, you know, there's a pinball room. And I'm like, wait a second. Okay, so there's pinball and there's free food and you see movies? Like, this is all, you know, my priorities were, you know, very sophisticated at the time. And she goes, yeah, but you have to be invited. You know, you have to be on a list. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. I said, well, how do I get on a list? She goes, I don't know, we'll see. Then, of course, she says to me one day, guess what? There's going to be a costume party, and I got you on the list. And I'm like, well, I'd never been on a list before. I didn't know the list thing existed. But I'm like, great. So, of course, we're 15 years old, and what do you do with your 15-year-old friends? We're like, we should definitely dress as twins. Playboy Mansion twins, you know, really, like, I was so clueless. And so, you know, we put on our little T-shirts and our little chemin de fer jeans and our hairdos and stuff. And, you know, when you're 15, you try to look older, of course. You know, that's when you put on tons of makeup because you're trying to look older. And it was, yeah, so it was pretty incredible. And they did have pinball, and they did have a lot of free food. And then a guy was like, hey, do you want me to show you around? I'm like, yeah, like, this is rad. This place is cool, you know? I mean, I really was a total Valley girl then. And I was just thinking, oh, wow, I'd never been to a place that had, oh, there's a red room, there's a blue room, and by the time he gets to the grotto, and I'm like, what's a grotto, you know? And I realized he's like, hey, do you want to go swim? And at that point, I'm like, oh, wait, is this guy hitting on me? And I remember looking at him and just laughing, going like, dude, you know I'm only 15, right? And he went, oh, what are you, 23, 24? I'm like, dude, I am 15 years old. You could get in so much trouble. And I just started laughing. And I'm telling you, he ran. He ran out of the grotto.
Yeah, I mean, this is just one of your
But
stories.
that's an alpha pussy mode. Like, you just look them in the eye and say, hey, blah, blah, blah. And they go, meow, and they run.
And did he roll over on his back?
He didn't, sadly enough.
Right.
I think the rolling over is equivalent to more they kind of look at you and then they go, and they kind of mumble and they step backwards and then they run.
Yeah, I mean, but this is the kind of thing that did, I think, prepare you then for the casting couch, later. I mean, all of these things that you experienced at 15 and 16, you had to figure out how to get yourself out of a situation, and that's what you describe, I think, throughout there. So let's talk about sex, if we can, if we may. One of the great takeaways, I think, from your book is that, and I think it's an important message, things happened young in those days, in the 70s and 80s, but you had a kind of personal agency, even with sexual experimentation or relationships, you had a personal agency. And maybe that was, I don't know, nature versus nurture, maybe that was just in your DNA. I'm not sure, but did you feel that way?
I felt, I'm not sure which experience you're talking about, the healthy side of growing up with my friends, and we were
I'm talking about the experimenting, not just with your friends.
Yeah.
Not just girlfriends. I mean, there was a neighbor that you just, I
my
need
friend.
to know some information.
Yeah.
And let's go do this.
Yes. Oh, I remember. I can't remember what I call him in the book because I changed his name, because I changed some people's names, of course. And now I literally can't remember what I called him in the book. Let's call him Cliff.
Let's call him Cliff. He seems like a Cliff.
Yeah, he seemed like a Cliff. Well, it was just, it was a very, when you're, I think when we were in 6th grade, 7th, 8th grade, you play, truth or dare, and you and your girlfriends, you decide who you want to kiss. And so my best friend, Anne, whoever I call her in the book, I think I call her Anne. Do you see what I'm saying? I forget the
Lexi?
No, okay. Lexi was someone else. Anne, I called someone else. You know.
No, it is hard when you change names. It is hard because people come up to you and they're like, "Tell me more about Anne." You're like, "Which one was?"
Which one was Anne? No. Lexi was. But anyway, Anne. She also. See, I think something shifted. The reason I used not just to be cute and was a funny name, but how I survived the valley and learned to love my boobs was because, I was such a tomboy, and I was so I played baseball and football, and I was around all the guys, and yet when all of a sudden I had boobs, all of a sudden, their energy towards me changed. The whole world kind of treated me differently, and I'm like, what's happening? And being sexualized at a younger age, or at that age, when I'm like, why are they treating me so different? I'm still the same player, but then they would, the tighter the top, the dumber they got, which I thought was really interesting. And so by the time you play. So I think it was really innocent. You have a certain group of friends, and you're all, and this is kind of right before I had boobs, right? So it was a very innocent time, because everyone's like, oh, I want to kiss Bob, or I want to kiss Dean, and so you kind of work it out with your girlfriend before. And there was one friend of mine who, so cute, and my girlfriend and I, the one who also had boobs later on, but she was a good baseball player, we both liked him. And we were just like, okay, well, you can kiss him first, and then I'll kiss him next. It was very, modern of us, I guess. And so you play these games where you kiss, see who can kiss the longest in the tunnels where we used to smoke at some point. And they were disgusting. They were like the sewage tunnels. We didn't quite put 2 and 2 together, but we'd walk through the tunnels and be, oh, this is a cool place. And so we would make out. And we would use those little Jolly Rancher candies, like the apple ones or the watermelon ones. It would be a really good commercial now, I think. No, maybe not.
The makeout candy.
Yeah, the makeout candy. And like watermelon was really popular, but who would make out longest? So anyway, this guy and I held the record, and we decided to go to second base together just because I trusted him so much, and I mean, none of us were having sex at that age. And then when we both went to different junior high schools, he went somewhere and he called me. I think we were 14 at this point. And he told me, he said, "Oh my God, you can't believe it, I had sex last night." I'm like, "Wait, what? Like, how?" And some older woman had, seduced him, which I wasn't surprised because he was quite beautiful and it's a cool guy. And I said, "How was it?" And he just was like, "It was great. I didn't know what I was doing." And then, it gets to other things, like they wanted to have oral sex. He's like, "I literally didn't know." I'm like, "I wouldn't know what to do," And so we decided, oh, well, like we should learn, like so we know what we're doing. And it was really that innocent. And
it is innocent. I agree. There's something.
And it was healthy,
Yeah.
And I said, "Mom, I'm going to his house for homework." Shouldn't really put two and two that we're not in the same school anymore, but so he taught me. I taught him, and then it was like, great, we're like armed for the world now. And so that was really good. And it did give me a certain confidence if later on, if I didn't want to have sex with someone, also, like when all of a sudden boobs appear, right? And men start treating you differently, boys, like all of a sudden there's an unspoken thing. And I kept thinking, there's like a new color that's been introduced to this frequency. And it's just because they want something from you, right? And I started noticing that a lot. And it was kind of weird. So I was always kind of, kind of keeping that at bay or being very uber aware of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you described that's a dividing line in your life. You're a sporty girl, and but throughout it all, and then you get these great boobs, and then everybody's very interested. But throughout it all, you still have a lot of personal agency, which I think I thought was a good element in the book.
I mean, I think I had to because that's just how I survived, and got out of different trouble. You have agency, you have to know who you are, else you'll be pushed around a lot. So it's every time I would be confronted with some sort of incident or dare that, I believe in, you could feel it in your body if something's not right. And so then you have to learn how to either confront it directly or weasel away out of it without people realizing it. Until you're gone,
Yeah, ergo, AlphaPussy again. I heard you say in a podcast that you could write the tell-all of tell-alls. Well, here's your opportunity. Tell us.
I said I could,
I know,
not that I would.
And you decided not to, but why? I mean, why don't you want to reveal more about people you've worked with or things like that?
Because I'm just not that person. I really pride myself in having some sort of level of discretion. It just seems, I don't know, kind of crass. It just does. It's not who I am. I don't, if I was like, and also at this stage and this time, I just feel like I'd rather spread like kindness or some sort of joy. I don't want to throw people under the bus. It's just, there's enough ickiness in the world, I just don't want to contribute to that.
Well, I'm going to ask you about a few people.
Oh, I'll tell you. No, I have to be really drunk, and then I'll tell you everything. No, I'm just kidding. I don't really get it.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm just going to ask you about some very interesting people and some of your episodes and some of your acting and some of your co-stars, and you can share whatever you want to share.
Okay.
Okay, was it while you were at NYU, where you went for college, first you went to Emerson, then you went to NYU.
That's right.
That you got a call that Prince wanted to meet you?
Yes.
And you flew to Minneapolis, so Prince had heard of you through a friend, is that right?
Yeah, when I was in high school, there's a girl, Jill Jones, and we did musicals together. So we would dance and sing together, and she was really cool. And I didn't even know who Prince was, but she's like, "I'm going to go sing with Prince." And I'm like, "You're singing with a prince? Like, what's happening?" But she was the girl, the beautiful girl in her hat who sings, I was dreaming when I wrote this, forgive me if I go too fast. You know what I'm talking about?
So in that
1999.
video.
So that's Jill. And so anyway, she goes, I told Prince all about you. You know, he's looking for an actress who can sing and dance, and I showed him your picture, and he really wants to meet you. I think you could, get this gig. I think you're perfect for it. And he was casting Purple Rain, the movie. And I'm in NYU, and I'm like, wow, that sounds amazing. Because I really wanted to do movies. I hadn't done any movies yet. And she said, great. So can you come to Minneapolis tomorrow? Or Minnesota? I'm like, what? No, I can't. I was doing This Property is Condemned. I was performing in This Property is Condemned, and I was rehearsing Antigone. I was a theater student. And we had little black box shows, and I took it very seriously. She said, well, why don't you do your show? What time does it out? You'll get on the plane, you'll come out here, and then you could leave tomorrow. And I thought, okay, that sounds fun. Why not? And so, I scrub off my makeup, I undo my braids, I get on the plane, I put on a leather skirt and zhuzh up my hair and put on more makeup, and I walk off the plane, and there's a purple limousine with Prince in it waiting for me. Yeah.
And Prince is in it.
Prince is in it, and Jill's in it, and I meet him, and he's really cute. He's little, so I'm trying to make myself smaller because I wore, of course, these big, huge high heels, and shy, very shy and sweet, and we just sat in the car. We didn't leave the tarmac for a while, and we just talked. And I guess he was, I don't know, vibing me out. And then finally he said, oh, do you want to listen to the title track, for the movie?
Title track of Purple Rain.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, sure, Prince. He's to the right, and Jill's over there, and there's a skylight, and he starts playing Purple Rain, and the first time you hear that, it's like, what is going on? I mean, it's so incredible. And I'm not joking, as soon as it gets to the chorus, the purple rain, it starts misting through the skyline. And I'm thinking, okay, this is insane.
Because Prince can control the weather.
Who knew he could control the weather?
I mean, we
He's
all
so
remember
powerful.
this from the Super Bowl. It also started raining at the Super Bowl when he was doing Purple Rain.
So not only is he a musical genius, he can control the weather.
But so did he offered you a part in Purple Rain?
I mean, we had the whole night together. We went dancing, we were singing, we were telling stories, and at some point, and I write this in much more detail in the book, but he just looked at me in a really weird way. It wasn't sexual. It was just like he was rearranging my molecules or something. And I could tell he was just hair, eyes, what do we put her in? What kind of, figuring out what he was going to do with me. And, I kind of had that weird feeling, and I'm like, what? And he's like, I think I'm going to call you Gina. And I'm like, Gina Gershon? He's like, no, just Gina. And of course, in my head, it's I don't want to be fucking called Gina. I don't want to be called Gina for the rest of my life. He's like, well, don't say that. He doesn't know. And I'm like, okay, just don't laugh, because that would be, I was just really trying to keep a straight face. But I also didn't like the feeling. It was like these invisible ropes,
He was too controlling, you felt.
I could feel the control. I just didn't like it, and then I read the script. He was lovely. He was a lovely guy. He gave me his room to sleep in. He and Jill went off somewhere else, and really comfortable bed, excellent bed. But then I read the script, and I had never really read a movie script before, and I got to the sex scene. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to do that. That seems so, and I also didn't really love the part, to be honest. I liked his songs. He played me some songs of what he was going to do in the time. I don't recall any of the Apollonia or Gina songs, whatever they're going to be. But so the next morning I said, thank you so much. I don't think this is the right movie for me. He was pissed.
Yeah. Gina, if I may call you that. I think
you may not.
I think think that that's just, again, remarkable. You're in college. It's so seductive. Prince is obviously a very seductive person, and you turned down a movie part because it just didn't feel right to you, and that you felt that Prince was going to be too controlling. I just think that that's really, I mean, you write about it a lot, but I think it's remarkable.
The controlling part, I don't think I intellectualized it. I just knew I thought
Right,
Gina, and a part of me is like, I could work on that. We could change that. But if I'd really loved the part in the film, I might have been like, oh my God, what a great opportunity. Yeah. But I remember, I think he might have even played me some of the music that she was going to do, and I'm like, meh.
Amazing.
I just didn't like it. It just didn't feel right.
Let's talk about Showgirls. I know you talk a lot about Showgirls, but it is a fascinating phenomenon. What happened with Showgirls? Because you were excited about this part and about this script.
Super excited.
Right. So when you get this role, and you're going to work with the legendary director Paul Verhoeven, and then I guess it was a month in, you take the role, and maybe a month into it, you have this kind of moment of clarity. I think you're hanging from the rafters.
I mean, I don't even think it was a month into it. I think no, that's not, it might have been because, for the first few weeks, we were just rehearsing and dancing and dancing and dancing and dancing. And it was really like, from the first day on the set that I was going to do an actual scene, I was like, oh shit, like, whoa.
Why? What was not right from that first day?
I felt I was going into I was a big fan of Paul Verhoeven, of his Dutch films, Spetters, Soldier of Orange, The Third Man. I always get those two confused, but...
and was he Basic Instinct also?
He had...
Oh, no?
Yeah, he had just done Basic Instinct. That was his American movie.
Okay.
But like even before, and Basic Instinct, obviously, but his Dutch films were really interesting, and they were really dark, and they were, very European and cool. So in my mind, I'm like, ooh, like this is gonna be dark and twisted, and I'm really going deep with it, and like jealousy. I'm thinking about, the Greeks. I'm thinking about Aphrodite and Psyche. I'm like making a whole thing in my head.
Like to you, it was a really great dramatic.
I thought it was gonna be dramatic, dark, really twisted, kind of like All About Eve, except set, with strippers and showgirls, in that world. And I had also not grown up, but I had been to Las Vegas quite a bit because my Aunt Ida lived there. And so I understood a little bit of the underbelly of that. And I was a dancer, not that sort of a dancer, but I was always interested in, I was like, oh, great, I get to dance, And at the time, I was also doing the show, so I wasn't doing the stripping. So it was also very, I just thought, oh, this will be really interesting and fun.
And so when does it, how does it go from you reading that script, a wonderful director, to being something that when it's released is just not what anybody had expected or hoped for? What happened? What went wrong, I guess, in that whole production?
I think a few things went wrong. I mean, I think at the end of the day, hubris took over. And I think they thought, if they made that into an R film, in my opinion, cut out 6 or 7 seconds of whatever, then it could have been an R, but they were like, we're gonna make, the first NC-17 film to really be a big blockbuster. And I think that hurt it a lot. I also thought, oh, this will be a really fun, let's have a curtain. I had this image, I remember going into the office like, oh my God, guys, I have a really good idea. I was just driving down Sunset Boulevard. It would be so fun to have a billboard with a curtain, and every day it's like 100 days to Showgirls, 99 days to Showgirls, and the curtain keeps rising, and at the end it's like one of those burlesque, Showgirls, really fun and lit up girls, and then they showed me the poster, which was very serious, ripoff of some other artist. I can't remember his name, but I was like, whoa. I said, that's and at that moment I thought, oh my God, this is gonna bomb. I mean, I just thought they were taking it so seriously and I thought it was kind of fun until I saw certain scenes, and I'm like, wait, why are these scenes in here? I made up a whole story in my head of what it was going to be. And then it was really the first day on the set when I walked in, I went, oh. It's like, I went to go, play, I was going to go play, golf, and then all of a sudden I showed up, and it was like pickleball or something. I mean, it really felt like that. So it's like, I need a different, instrument to play along in this sort of weird world, but keep my focus on what I'm doing.
And then when it was released and maligned for a long time, now it's a campy hit and people, revisit it and it's a cult classic. But when originally it was released and maligned, then what did that do? I mean, how did you process all of that?
Well, I wasn't surprised. I mean, I feel like I did as good of a job as I could. And I talk about that a little bit. I really fought a lot with him just because I think it's that moment you're talking about, hanging up on this rope, going like, wow, how did I get here? I wanted to do the classics. I was going to do Medea. I wanted to play Antigone.
And you were in some like S&M getup, like hanging from a rope and being like,
looking down,
not
going,
what I expected.
It's like, how did we get here? Oh my God. Like, and I, at that moment was like, it was like, we better be really good. I think I sound schizophrenic that I'm always talking to myself, but it's true. I do always talk to myself. But it was like, I better be really good in this, else my career is going to be over before it started. I mean, that was a real thing, because this was a big movie. So as crazy as it was on the set, and it was pretty crazy, I think, I still loved the part, and I still knew what I wanted to do with it, but I had to fight a lot to do what I wanted to do. And, he likes to argue with people, and I guess I was the chosen one for that.
The director.
The director, yeah. He's kind of infamous for that. On Basic Instinct, he did it, and other films, I suppose. So, but at the same time, seeing it now, I think it's kind of amazing. I see it in different eyes now.
Well, how do you see it now?
I think I was so involved in it that I just, in my mind, it was still like, All About Eve, or it was still a certain structure. And then all of a sudden you had like some crazy rape scene in there. Like at one point he wanted to put this scene in, and I was like, you cannot put this, like, please don't put this in. I can't be in this movie, you're gonna do this, where like he pulled a Tampax out and it swiped the frame, not of me, of her. And I'm like, just don't, like, that's just gross, like, and then, I have that whole scene in the book, with when he wanted me to show the vagina, how I got out of that scene. That's a funny story now. Wait, what was I saying?
Just how you see it now. That you.
Oh, yes. And so then when I saw the rape scene for the first time, I just thought, what is this scene doing in this movie? In my head, I just went, not full camp, but I'm like, this is gonna be really funny. Like, let's make this fun and funny. And then here comes this scene, and I'm like, why is this in this movie? This is horrible. And I just kind of disassociated. At that point, I'm like, get me in another movie. And, I told my agents, like, get me in something else that shows I'm really an actress. And then I went into Bound basically
so
afterwards.
Bound was the next movie.
Thank you.
That you did, Bound.
It was. And so I just thought, okay, I'm just gonna be really good in this thing, and people are gonna know I'm an actress. I didn't direct this thing, I didn't produce it, whatever. I knew it was gonna be kind of, I don't know. My agents are like, we're gonna make you a big star. I'm like, I'm doing another movie right now. This is not gonna be what you think it's gonna be. I really had a feeling about that. But now I saw it, a friend of mine made me go see it, and she's like, no, you don't understand how good this movie is. And she's a good writer, and she's smart. And we went to the Paris Theater about 2 years ago, and it was totally sold out. And listen, I like it that it gives a lot of people joy, and I've made, a lot of friends from it. Like, I love drag queens, and I love all my gay audience. It's like gives them such joy, and they're really fun. But when I saw it again, and maybe you have distance, and I'm not in it having slight PTSD from that stress of it all. I saw it more from a writer's or a director's point of view, and really, it's like those scenes have to be in there. It's so about ugly America and about power dynamics, And it's the dark side of the American dream. And so but I didn't see it that way. I kind of wish he had explained it to me, and I've been like, oh, that's what you're going for, but like, you know, I didn't know.
That would have been helpful, yeah, if he'd explained his vision.
Well, if you look at his other movies, and when you really, it's like they have that. He deals with fascism. He deals with really interesting things, but just being in it, I was just more in survival mode, you know, just like, oh my God, I've got to make this scene work, because it's just so, you know, it just felt so silly to me at the time.
You've had a wildly varied career. You're obviously multidimensional. You're not solely an actor. You've, of course, acted in movies. You've been in bands. You've played music with Sting and Laurie Anderson. You've been on Broadway, Cabaret, Bye Bye Birdie. You've done a one-woman show. You've even played the Jews harp at Carnegie Hall.
3 times, but who's counting? It's really my funnest gig ever.
Amazing.
Yeah.
When do you feel most yourself or most alive of all of those different art forms that you do?
I think I definitely feel the most alive. Not alive is the wrong word. I have the most fun when I'm playing music and singing. I think for sure. There's nothing more fun than that.
And why didn't you just go in that direction?
That's a really good question. I think because my whole family, they were all musicians, and I'm like, I'm going to be an actress. And it wasn't in rebellion, like, I wasn't rebelling against that. I just really wanted to become an actress. And I think at that time, when I was, you know, now you could kind of do both, like a little bit easier. You have to really make a decision. And I think I take music really seriously just because I have very serious musicians in my family. And it's like, if I'm going to do that, I have to totally do that. And I really wanted to be an actress, so you almost have to set it aside. When I started doing musicals again, or started doing the two together, and something like Cabaret, Sam Mendes's, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot I love singing. I really love singing and performing, and then from that led to Pray for Rock and Roll, where I got to sing live and play guitar.
Amazing.
And be in bands, and I'm like, oh yeah, I really love this too. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I should have stuck with that. But it's fun, and then I get to, every now and then, I get to like write a show, and then I'll sing and perform. But now, once I go into writing, then I'm just writing. Once I go into acting, I'm just acting. Once I go to music, I just go. Like, I have to compartmentalize a little bit. I can't do everything at the same time anymore, unless I'm playing a singer.
Then you can, yeah,
Right.
Then you can combine them all. Right. No,
Yeah.
I understand.
I don't know. Never say never. Who knows? I don't know. Whoever offers me the best deal, like, hey, do you want to come and do this? And that sounds fun. I'll be like, oh yeah, that sounds really cool. Oh wait, my phone's ringing. Can I turn it off?
Okay, let's see who it is.
We don't
Feel
want to
free to take it. Let's
You really
see who
want
it
to
is.
see who it is?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Oh my God, I'm definitely not answering
It's Larry
this.
David.
No, it's my ex-boyfriend. Why is he
What?
calling? No,
Take it.
No.
We have a few things
No.
to say to him.
No, we are definitely not taking that. That was so random.
Was that Tom Cruise?
No, he was never my boyfriend.
He wasn't.
He was just my love interest.
He was your love interest, right? So
He was my first
Kiss.
sex scene.
Oh, he was your first sex scene. How'd that go?
Great. I mean, I kneed him in the nose by accident, but that was an accident, and he was a real champ about it.
He was very gracious. Yeah.
He's so cute. I really like him.
He is so cute. So
Yeah.
you've made out with Tom Cruise, Nicolas Cage in the movies.
Yes, in the movies.
Matthew Modine,
Did Matthew and I make out? I think we kissed a little bit.
Jennifer Tilly,
Definitely kissed.
Larry David.
We never kissed.
Okay, but I mean, did you have a sex scene?
We had a
implied-
kind of like a TV sex scene, implied sex scene. No, we never got to it because there was an earthquake.
It's such a funny, the Curb Your Enthusiasm stuff, everybody, if you haven't seen these episodes, is so funny with you and Larry
He's so
David.
funny. I mean, he's really funny. That was the most fun show to do.
I bet.
So fun.
It's just such great scenes.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a couple more questions, and then we're going to open it up for everybody. You can feel free to go over to that microphone and ask Gina any questions that you have. Laurie Anderson told you in Interview Magazine that you're helping people without trying to with this book. Do you know what she means by that, or do you see it that way?
I had such a good time doing that interview, but I haven't read it, so I can't remember what she was referring to.
She said that you're helping people without trying to, and I guess I just assumed that what she meant was everything we're talking about in terms of like self-empowerment, in terms of, you know, the badassery, alpha pussiness of it all, like to take back, you know, to take your power.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. I really like Laurie Anderson.
She's wonderful.
I mean, I think I was saying, because when I was trying to write this, at some point I was just like, ugh, why am I writing this? Like, really, seriously, who cares? And she, you know, in her very Laurie way, she's like, nobody cares. Nobody really cares. You're writing this, you know, kind of for you. And I'm like, in a way, it was great. I'm like, oh yeah, nobody cares. Like, I could just do whatever I want. And it really freed me. And then, of course, when I told her that she said that, she goes, oh, I don't believe that at all. I care. And I'm like, you know.
But that is a great bit of Yoda-like wisdom in that...
She's very Yoda-like.
Like, it's what we were saying, that you had to get it out of your own head. These stories were important to you, and by putting them down, you were telling me, it cleared some bandwidth.
Yeah.
For you.
It was interesting. I mean, it kind of took its own little journey, and then at a certain point, I just started following what my inner voice was trying to tell me, and, you know... by the time, I mean, I really just wanted it to be like a fun collection of true stories. You know, I'm just a storyteller, so like, here's funny stories that people laughed at. But then it just started kind of getting a little darker and into other territories that I hadn't really, I don't think, processed yet. And then, so it was interesting revisiting that. And then I think the whole ending is very different because, you know, it's really written in real time, which I wasn't planning on, but, you know, my mom was not well. And just so much of this process started coming up that I realized, oh, wow, this is, you know, it's part of being an AlphaPussy. It's like you have to, I learned so much about myself and her. And as I say, it's not a how-to book or a tell-all book or a guidebook. It's, an advice book. It's just my stories of how I navigated things. But the only advice I really do give, and I really only give to anyone, is like learn. I think it's really important to know who your parents are and what your relationship was with them. And if you're lucky, what their relationship is with their parents, just so you could figure out what shit's yours and what's theirs. Like, what are you carrying? What issues, right? To really know yourself and to, you know, I'm just trying to maintain like autonomy and sovereignty and but I think you have to really know who you are. We're all trying to do that. We're all trying to figure that out before we die, hopefully. And hopefully we could let go of a lot of stuff along the way that doesn't help us become our best version of ourselves. So it was interesting that then in real time I was kind of doing lots of therapy and dealing with my mom, and then it just started sneaking in, and so I kept it. At first I was going to take it out, but I realized I start the whole thing with her, so I might as well end it. And so that was, I don't know, I'm not I don't sit down and think, I'm going to write a book now. I just kind of let things go through me, and then hopefully they make sense.
I think that writing a book, or even if you don't have a book published, I just think that writing your personal stories does help you do all that archaeology of your family and all of, and I think it's a very valuable exercise.
I think people, you know, they say journaling, whatever you want to call it, but like, I think it's important to not be dictated by unforeseen energies in your body that may be shadows of your parents or something else, but I want to be free of all of that. I don't want to be led by my unconscious, you know? I want my unconscious like to lead me to what I'm knowing about, and I think it's important.
I do too. I think that you've done that in this. So
thank you.
If anybody has any questions, feel free to line up at the microphone. In the meantime, I'm gonna do a quick lightning round. What music are you listening to right now? What musicians are you listening to, or who do you like?
Oh, well, I just went deep, and I only did this because I had to do a talk about it. I mean, I had to do an interview with Joni Mitchell, but I always listen to Joni Mitchell. But I was really listening to Blue, and I kind of went into Court and Spark, but I just had to do a thing the other day, so I had to listen to her a lot. Who I've been listening to a lot lately, it's interesting because I'm writing something else. When I write, I listen to nothing.
Oh.
Right?
Because like,
I just
it
don't like to
complicates
listen
your
to
process too much.
Yeah, but lately, what I've been like, I've seen Friends shows. Brandy Carlisle, I love. She was just at Madison Square Garden. She was incredible.
Yeah.
And Alison Russell, who plays with her and works with my sister, and she's incredible. Just like Friends. Last night, I saw the cutest show ever.
What?
Like, oh my God, my friend Levi Evans, who happens to be one of my best friend Morley and Edges, the Edge from U2, his kid, right? So I've known him since before he was born. And he did a show in the Bronx last night. I haven't been to the Bronx, and it was just like these young kids like playing their asses off, and we just danced like crazy. It was so much fun.
That's awesome.
Like, and so I'm really into him. His name is Muttley. So I've been like, in the last few days, I've just seen him grown so much, and I think he really is incredible.
That's very cool.
So whatever's happening at that moment, those are the last 4 things I've been listening to.
Which artist has had the biggest influence on your life? Any kind of artist. I mean.
I think Lori has had a really huge influence on my life. As an artist, before I knew her.
Laurie Anderson.
Laurie Anderson, but then as a human being, I think she's helped me in more ways than she would even realize. Like to help free me up when, I don't know, whatever she tells me to do, I kind of go, okay. And she's like, I think, yeah, painting's good. You're a good painter. I'm like, I've never done that. She's like, yeah, but you're really good at it. And then I start painting. I'm like, I actually am pretty good at this. Or drawing people. I had to draw things. And then when I was going to direct, she's like, oh, yeah, you're a really good director. I'm like, I've never really directed. She's like, yeah, but you're really good at that. And then I just do it. Whatever she tells me to do, I just go, okay, I'll do it. But she's so free, and she has no walls. And she's the most creative mind I've ever met.
Wow.
I mean, really, truly. So I think she's been a huge influence on me. In a lot of different ways.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
What's your favorite movie?
That's an impossible question. I don't even know how to answer that question.
Okay, give me a couple. Give me one of your most liked.
Oh, God. I mean, All About Eve. I've mentioned that before. The Wizard of Oz, I'm always a big fan of. Old school, like The Seventh Seal has always been one of my favorites. I really love his work. Oh, God.
Okay, let me ask you this. What's your favorite Gina Gershon movie?
I couldn't even answer that.
No?
Well, I haven't watched all of them. I mean, I'm very fond of Bound, and I really like Pray for Rock and Roll. Right? Those are goodies. I like those 2 a lot. I'm not in The Player that much, but I really love that I did it, and I really love that film. I was just about to say, The Exorcist. I really liked that I was in that, but I wasn't in that. I don't know. This is when my blood sugar starts to drop. I'm like, oh, yes, I remember.
I loved my part in The Exorcist, where I played that girl whose head spun around. No, that was Linda Blair.
Yeah.
What are you working on last? What are you working on next before I open it up? What's your next
Right
project?
now, I just literally yesterday, that's why I'm a little bit like, woo. I just finished a script that I'm really into that I wrote with a friend of mine that I'm trying.
A movie script?
A movie script. I kind of miss my day job, so I kind of want to like act right now, but I want to act in something I want to act in, and this is something that was kind of rattling around in my head for a year, and then we just finished a really solid first draft, so I've been in that world. So that's what I'm focused on right now,
That's awesome. So you're writing a cool movie that you will be in.
Yeah, I'd like to do that.
That's wonderful.
So hopefully someone will do it, and I'll be acting in that soon.
Okay, very good. Okay, let's open it up. Question for Gina.
Hi.
Hello, wait, where are you? Oh, there you are. Oh, hi. Oh, look at your cool pants.
Oh, thank you.
Fun.
So I feel like this book is dropping at a very apropos time in our country with, the patriarchal system that is crushing us. And I kind of feel like that goes along with the thread of you're helping people without even knowing you're helping people, with kind of your autonomy. It's showing a lot of women, especially in this time, how they can still have that. Have you ever kind of thought about the timing of all of this? And is it like your stand of resistance, or it just happens to be this dropped when everything's happening.
You know, once I started writing this, which really started like during COVID when it was gonna be something else, and then I had to keep putting it down because when I'd have to go back to an acting gig, I can't write and act in something else at the same time. At some point, like last year, whatever it was, I thought, oh, by the time this book comes out, it's gonna be so passé. We're already gonna be over this moment. The women are gonna take it. And sadly, it's not happened yet, you know?
Very sadly.
Right? But I really thought like, oh my God, this book is gonna be past its time as far as that stuff goes.
Can I ask when you started?
I think I really started right before COVID because it started off as
like,
something else and I put it aside, and then it shifted. And then the last, like, I guess my mom, she's swung on 3 years. I guess I started like 3 years ago or 4 years ago, but I kept putting it aside because I just kept thinking, oh, I'll do this when I do it. And then once it grabbed hold of my brain of what it was, like AlphaPussy, once I was like, oh, and then I just couldn't think of anything else. So then I just wrote, you know, solidly. You know, I think as I was watching, I don't know if any of you watched this, but I started watching the dinosaur series, right? It's really cool. It kind of made me feel like, oh, we're just a little blip. You know, this is the part of man and where we, you know, blow up the world. And then it like changes. But like, okay, let me think. So it starts off, you know, you have Mars and there's no one there, and then the little critters and there's no water, and then the water comes, and then all of a sudden you have the reptiles, and then all of a sudden, like, the fucking dinosaurs show up and like they wipe out the reptilians, and they're like, they remind me of like the big bullies in the world that we're seeing, just like, this is my thing, like, fuck you. So listen, from the beginning of time, there's always been, and I'm sure the dinosaurs, we can't even put them in the same thing. I'm really digressing, sorry. But I think there's always been like bullies and people trying to oppress you. And, you know, yes, most of them, it's like the patriarchy, for sure, you know, because that has to do with everything that's going on, the climax, the climate and everything. But I think the AlphaPussy thing, it really, literally, there's always bullies. There's always people telling you what to do, and there always will be. Just sometimes it's more hidden. It happens to be not hidden at all right now. It's like, but this shit's been going on for a long time.
Right. I think it's just a stark reminder that it never went away.
It never went away, and I just think it's really important. You know, I don't want to, like when people are like, oh, AlphaPussy, you know, these women, like men should be AlphaPussies. Everyone should be AlphaPussy. Anyone can be an AlphaPussy. It's about not letting, like, you know, the bastard people tell you what to do or try to manipulate you. Like, for you to be very clear and know how to navigate these toxic people, because we're seeing it everywhere, and I think we're going to always see it. You know,
I think that's a great message in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great question.
Thank you.
Okay, next.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. First, thank you for doing Bound. I'm sure you hear that a lot, but I just wanted to say that.
You're welcome.
And second, do you think you'll do another horror film like Thanksgiving? Because I really enjoyed that.
To do another film like Thanksgiving?
Like Thanksgiving, another horror flick.
I mean, I'm open to do anything as long as I like it, you know? I know someone's like, are you doing Thanksgiving too? I'm like, I'm pretty sure I was pretty dead by Thanksgiving one, but I mean, I don't know, you never know. I mean, yeah, I like horror film. I don't like slasher films so much, but I like good films. I'm open to anything that's kind of cool.
And lastly, do you think being an AlphaPussy is something you're born with or something you learn to achieve over time based on experience?
Being a what?
Being an AlphaPussy.
AlphaPussy,
is it
like
it's learned.
born or something you learned based on experiences in life?
Well, I mean, I kind of in a humorous way. Well, maybe it's not so humorous. I started the book saying like my mom was 6 months pregnant and she didn't realize she was pregnant. So I'm there floating around like, okay, I guess like, here's my arm, like, oh, yay. You know, like I think I had coming out and like having an older brother and sister and being left alone a lot. I think I had this, like I had to go into survival mode a lot of the time, and that taught me things. And then certainly being in the Valley, I don't think I was born. I think I was actually really scared. I think I was taught to be that, for better or worse. There's, you look at your own family or your own situations and bad things that happen or whatever, they teach you something and you hopefully learn from them.
Right.
If I had this idyllic sort of loving, everyone's like, yay, and like, oh, there's Gigi, let's play with her, like, and not being left alone so much, like, maybe I wouldn't have been able to be an alpha pussy at all because I didn't, or maybe I would have learned, I don't know. I think we learn at everything.
Right.
That's a really I didn't really answer your
No,
question.
you did well. Thank you. Thank you.
Who knows?
Right.
But I think I learned. That's why I tell so many stories. I think it was learned behavior.
Okay.
Everybody can
Thank
learn to be an alpha pussy, I think, is what we're
Everyone
picking up.
can be, and I think everyone should be. I think it's important in today's world. That was like the secret thing. I just wanted everyone to be like, I'm going to alpha pussy the shit out of the situation. I just wanted to be like come in the vernacular, and I want to see everyone standing up. I really fucking hate bullies, and I just don't like that energy of what they do. So we have to be able to stand up for ourselves.
I think it's a great message.
Yeah.
All right, quickly, next.
All right. Hi, Gina. Reading your book was awesome. The way that you just spill, you're so raw, and reading about all your iconic projects was great. But there is one project that you've done in more recent years, the TV show Riverdale. Yeah, I loved it.
I love Riverdale.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask, what were your experiences on set of Riverdale, and is Gladys Jones the definition of an alpha pussy?
I think Gladys Jones is definitely an alpha pussy.
Yes.
But she's pretty tough. And she doesn't take shit from anyone. But, why is she that way? She's got like kind of a gnarly backstory, growing up. Riverdale's so insane.
It is. It truly is.
God, it's like, I love Archie. I'm like, what is this? I don't talk about Riverdale just because I only talked about situations that I could hang my hat on, like manipulation or toxicity or having to do that. And I had such a lovely time. It was such a really great experience. I just saw Skeet the other day at this like Comic-Con-y sort of thing. And everyone was really adorable and I really liked everyone. So I didn't have anything bad or, like I said, this isn't a tell-all book. It's not a biography. It's not like, here's my whole, I left out a lot of things in my career. There was nothing really that jumped out at me.
But that's great that you've had a great experience. That's wonderful to hear that it was a great experience and so many people love it.
No, it was really fun. It's a really sweet group of people.
Yeah, it was an awesome show, so that's why I wanted to ask.
Oh, I'm glad you liked it.
Nice.
I just had fun.
There you go. Sometimes things are just fun.
Some things are just fun.
Okay, is there one last question? Okay.
Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, my pleasure.
So just two quick questions. One, I haven't read the book yet, so perhaps you've talked about this, but it seems I grew up in the 70s, so I relate, even the watermelon candy, that was my favorite. So
Right.
I so related to that, but your dad seemed so evolved for the time, that he just supported you, but also it was like hands off. And I get we grew up free range, but weaved into that, you just seemed, you had agency at such a young age. There are women my age that don't have agency. The fact that it was innate, it seems, to you at such a young age. So my question is, what type of influence do you think your mom had that, good or bad, that you had that at such a young age? It's quite incredible.
I think I was left alone a lot because my mom was an interior decorator. She was working, and my dad traveled all the time. He was a traveling salesman. And, my brother and sister, they're older, so they didn't really have anything to do with me. So I think I kind of, I don't know. I had to learn how to get in and out of certain situations. My mom was really, I talk about her in the book, and I didn't realize it until in the middle of writing this book that she's kind of really the first alpha pussy I knew. Even though she was pregnant. Can you imagine being pregnant for 6 months and she didn't even know? Because she wasn't trying to get pregnant. You know, she was like off, she started her own company. She used to tell me how she had to fight for her rights to get her name on the credit card. It was her own company. But this is like in the 70s. I don't know when that happened. And 76. And then I think her first credit card had to say Mrs. Stanley Gershon. And she's like, I have my own name. I have my own company. I'm making my own money. So she had to fight. And she said when she finally got Mickey Gershon, it was like a big moment, you know? Like, honestly, it's like, I'm so glad she's not, it's the only time I'm glad she's not around now, because she would just be so tormented by what's going on. Okay, we're not gonna go there. But seriously, it's ridiculous. I think she had a big influence on me as far as being like a very she was like a working woman. You know what I mean? And she was doing things and, doing what she was good at. Was she a great mom at that time? Like, I probably could have used her around a little bit more. But I kind of that's like my own secret personal journey. I'm not sure if it comes through in the book. I think it probably does. Like, my own journey with my mom throughout it, which really kind of comes toward the end. And so I really learned to respect her. And, like I said, I think there was a moment where I thought, oh, she's not really a good mom. And then there's a moment once I found out about her relationship with her mother. And I did all this work, and I started having compassion for like, oh, her mom was not there really at all. And so I think she did the best she knew how, right? And then as we got closer and closer and she became more open and we started exploring things, I think it was almost like a reverse healing. Like, I kind of helped heal certain things, which then that's that DNA, that generational trauma that sometimes can get passed down. And trauma is too big of a word in this case, but I don't know. It was really kind of a beautiful thing. By the end, like, we had such a respect and love for each other.
That's beautiful.
That is.
That is really beautiful that this whole process has brought you closer and helped you have a different perspective and vantage point on her. I think that's really wonderful. Thank you for the question. Gina, we have a favor to ask of you.
Uh-oh.
We want, as our last move here, an AlphaPussy selfie. So our plan is to come up here, and if everybody can hold up their AlphaPussy books, and we're gonna take a selfie. Looking that way? Yes, looking that way, right? So Gina's right here. Okay, good.
I think I'm gonna put my jacket.
Yeah, put your badass jacket on.
This is my marching jacket.
Love it.
I know my hair's a little bit, I'm sure.
Gina went to the march today.
Yeah. Wait, so you're all gonna hold it.
We're gonna hold it.
And we guys stand in front.
Okay.
Yep, you guys stand in front.
Will you be able to see everybody?
We can see everybody. Okay. It's lovely. Can everybody yell AlphaPussy, please? One more. Amazing. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Gina Gershon, thank you so much. Thanks for all of the answers and talking with us and coming here to the Westport Library.
You guys were awesome. Thank you. That was really
Wonderful to
fun.
meet you. Gina,
Thank you so much.
Some books.
Thank you very
Here
much.
now for a few minutes.
I hope you enjoy. Thank you.
Folks, Gina will be signing over at the table, so we're going to start a line over there if you'd like to get your book signed as well.